Okay, thank you all for coming. Hope you're all enjoying the chillin'. So for tonight, for our first one for this year, Parshas Kisavo is a pretty intense parsha. It's a parsha that starts off somewhat, you could call it less intense, innocently, and then all of a sudden, Shnai Mikra is going pretty smoothly at the beginning. All of a sudden, you come to Shishi, and it's a pretty intense aliyah. The tone of the chazan changes. Seems like we're trying to get through it quickly. It's difficult to even just think about the pshat of the psukim in the parsha there. And we're hit with the tochacha. Famous story with, I think they say it b'shem the Kloisenberger Rebbe, one of the Rebbes who survived the Holocaust, that after the war, he went through all the tragedies and they were laning the tochacha in shul. And he said in Yiddish louder, like in the middle of laning, it's a pretty odd thing to say, like maybe he was getting older, he couldn't hear. So they went a little louder, he said louder. And like you're supposed to lane it a little bit quieter, a little bit faster, not the same style laning that we do when we're laning the regular mitzvos and the other aspects of the Torah. And again, louder. And eventually, that they got through it, and they asked him, what was that all about? And he said, the tochacha is of the greatest things for me, because I lived through it. Everything the tochacha is describing, I lived through in the Holocaust. And now here I am, having survived it. We're now going to be able to come to the Zman HaBracha, to the Zman of the Geula. And that was his vision. And although it's been quite a number of years from our perspective since then, it does seem with every passing year, sometimes even depending on what's going on in the calendar in the world, with every passing month or week, that we're getting really, really close to the Zman of Geula, to the Zman of Mashiach, Eretz Hashem. But that's Parshas Kisavo, the intense tochacha. We find at the beginning of the Parsha. Parsha starts off with mitzvos of the Aretz, Bikurim and other mitzvos ha'aretz. Why is the Torah juxtaposing these ideas, putting these things together? Why is it that upon entrance to Eretz Yisrael, we're reminded of, right? We learned these mitzvahs already, we're reminded of these new mitzvahs, Atzluyas Ba'aretz. Of course, Pashat Pshat, simply we can understand that the Torah is making sure that we understand the mitzvahs that are now going to apply in Eretz Yisrael, according to some. But why is there this whole connection, this introduction at this parsha? Also, V'hayaz Lashon Simcha. Shulchan Aruch even says, the Mefarshim say, V'hayaz Lashon Simcha for this parsha. So perhaps we could explain that it's very easy for a person, when everything's going well, to lose sight of Hashem. It's very easy to get focused on Gashmias, to get focused on wealth, to get focused on bracha, even brachos and health and happiness. A person could be in yeshiva. How many worries do you have? Is it working out with my chavrusa? Do I like this Rebbe? Should I switch to that shir? And obviously, for each individual person living through it yourselves at your age, it can seem at times to be pretty intense, even issues like that. But in the big picture of things, that's not an impending doom catastrophe. It's, okay, we got to figure things out. It should be taken seriously. It's not a major thing. When people have Rov Kol, when Klal Yisrael have Rov Kol, which Baruch Hashem, the Rebbeinu Shalom benches us with, and He should continue to bench us with. But now the test is to keep sight of the Rebbeinu Shalom in a world of Rov Kol, of Gashmias, of health, of happiness in general. Again, obviously, we all know people who are lacking a lot in life, and we daven for them, and we daven for ourselves. But in general, in mass, there's so much. And the pasuk says that by the Tocha, Merov Kol, you are an Ovedas Hashem b'simcha. When Klal Yisrael were coming into the land, Kisavo ala Aretz, there's a tremendous nisayon, of kochiv yotzem yadi, of forgetting the Ribono Shalom. In the Midbar, look at the contrast between the Midbar and going into Eretz Yisrael, crossing that Yarden. In the Midbar, it was impossible to forget about the Ribono Shalom, to get upset at Hashem, to have tainas against Hashem, to say, I don't like how this food affects my digestive system and I want other options and all sorts of things. Sure. People are people and you can lose your cool and you can get upset. But to forget Hashem when the food is flying down from the sky and only just enough for that day, and you try to take a little bit to last for the next day, it's gone, it spoils instantly, and it never comes on Shabbos, and it always comes double on Friday, etc., etc. That's just a mun. Then you have the whole miracles with the ananim, and the clothes, and the feet, and you have all the miracles with the water, and the be'eros, the unbelievable midrashim that talk about the streams splitting off from the wells to each person's individual tent. It's incredible what was going on in the Midbar. It was so apparent it was impossible to deny. You know, they say in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, if a person was lacking Amunah, he should take a trip to the Beis HaMikdash because he could see open miracles there. One of the most public would be this pillar of smoke coming out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, straight up to Shemayim. Even if winds and storms would come, that pillar of smoke would stay. It wouldn't sway with the wind. Wow, it was a miracle to be able to be seen publicly. You could get chizuk in your Amunah by Klal Yisrael were living with countless such wondrous miracles every single day, and obvious ones. Not like when we say the nisim nistarim, the hidden miracles of our heartbeat and our lungs transforming the oxygen in the air into going into our blood, which then gets transported around our body. Yeah, that's just as miraculous. It's unbelievable, but it's harder to see. It's happening so constantly in such a hidden way. But these are breaking the laws of Teva on a daily basis. What you might call nisim gluim. And now you're coming into Eretz Yisrael. You're going to work the land, and the land will produce b'derech Teva. There are going to be scientific principles. What does Teva mean? What does science mean? The observation of nature. It repeats itself. It's constant. It's consistent. It's much easier to forget that there's a Ribono Shalom. You come into the land. You work the land. You get the food from the land. If you don't work it, you don't get the food. If it doesn't rain, you don't. If it does rain and you do work it, you get the food. It works with a routine, with a consistency. And it's easy to forget. So we have mitzvos, tluyos ba'aretz, bikurim and trumas and maestros, etc., all there to remind us, yes, the land is giving you your food, and it is your work that's directly connected to that. There has to be hishtadlus. But ultimately it's coming from me, and therefore those first fruits that sprout, bring those to me as a remembrance. Remind yourself, it's all coming from Hashem. So the mitzvahs tluyas ba'aretz have to be there. And that's the introduction to the parsha, which is best known for the Tochacha. That big, I think, 62 pasuk aliyah. You know, one time when I was younger and I wasn't as familiar with the parshas and the aliyos and everything, I would lane from time to time, and someone came to me and said, can you just do one aliyah this Shabbos, just shishi? So I didn't look at it. I wasn't smart enough to look at it first. I'm like, okay. And it was like Thursday. Figured like, what's it going to be? 13 psukim, maybe 20 psukim, you know, that's like already an above average aliyah. And then I got to looking at it, it was 62 psukim, the Tochacha. Yeah, that's shishi this week. It's like a whole parsha. So that's the theme of the parsha, and it's introduced to us with, don't forget Hashem. Those first buds of the fruit trees, bring them to Hashem. Don't forget. And that applies to those of us who have everything going for us. It applies to all of us who are lacking. And some of us who feel like we're lacking so much. There's so much that we're lacking and we're davening for it. Still, it's easy to forget Hashem. The second something goes right, oh, it's because I did this or that. And if nothing's going right, chas v'shalom, where is he? There are so many nisyonos when it comes to maintaining our recognition and proper belief in Hashem. So many nisyonos. But whether it's rov kol or not, we have to remember. We have to maintain it. Question is, how do we do that? How practically do we maintain a real good, clear connection to Hashem when it's not so clear, hard to see, our five senses don't help us, and we have all these nisyonos challenging us. So there are all these mitzvahs, bikurim and all that, tuliyos ba'aretz, to combat the land, making us feel like it's us, kochav yotzim yadi. But what do we have now? We don't have a Beis Hamikdash to give us those miracles. We don't have those mitzvahs, at least not us here in America, certainly don't have those mitzvahs. Even in Eretz Yisrael, it doesn't apply on a regular basis to many, many people. So what do we use for us, for the Hamonam, to keep us in sync, to keep us with that recognition of Hashem with us every single day, every single moment? So Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur is coming up, and we're starting Slichos soon. And the Yomim Tovim are actually, in general, an amazing opportunity that the Ribono Shel Olam gives to us. Yomim Tovim are like a spark in the darkness. Some say that in Chazal's instituting of Hanukkah and Purim, there's some connection between those holidays being added to the Torah's holidays and the long drought, so to speak, of holidays between Sukkot and Pesach. That it gives us more opportunity for Yom Tov every so often. There shouldn't be such a long dry spell. And every Yom Tov has its own message, its own theme. And we can go on and on about Rosh Hashanah. I'm sure you've heard from your Rebbeim the idea of it being, sure, there's a yira, there's a fear in Rosh Hashanah, the Yom Hadin. But the root of the day is Kesher to Hashem, Kurva to Hashem, becoming close to Hashem. Ein melech below am, being mamlech Hashem, recognizing Him as the King, but only because we are His servants. Almost from like a Gaivadika perspective, we make Him the King. Him, we're talking about God of the whole universe. But yes, we have to recognize the value He places within us, and thereby what we are contributing through our existence in Kedusha and recognizing Him. So I think that the Yomim Tovim provide for us an amazing opportunity. We can prepare for the Yomim Tovim. We can contemplate the meaning of these Yomim Tovim. They're not just days to get through and what are the hard parts and what are the fun parts. Okay, they're all going to have that. Rosh Hashanah, davening is difficult. It's a long davening. It's normal to look forward to the Kiddush as you get closer to the time of Kiddush before Tekiah Shofar. It's normal to wonder, how is it possible that that guy over there in the corner is not going down to the Kiddush because he wants to be machmer on not eating before mitzvah's Tekiah Shofar, which is a mitzvah d'oraisa. How is it possible? It's so late. It's normal. It's also important to realize, wow, there's something chashuv about that. The person could do that. But all those things are normal because we're human beings. But while they're normal, we also can take some time to contemplate. And really the whole Elul is a great zman for this. Certainly now, we're more than halfway through. To just think every single day. You could literally do it before you go to sleep at night. Falling asleep at night in your bed, who knows what you're thinking about, random things, relaxing things, hopefully. Just for 1 minute, 60 seconds, think to yourself, Rosh Hashanah is coming up, Yom Kippur is coming up. These are serious days of Yemei Hadin, but they're awesome opportunities for us to connect. Try to approach them from the positive, not the negative. They have serious nekudos to them. They have a very serious nature to them. But try in your preparation to feel an aspect of positivity. Avas Hashem. That the Ribono Shel Olam keeps us alive every second. Why? If we would all be very quiet right now, close our ears and see, what noise do we hear? I'll just close our ears and what noise do we hear? What would we hear? You'd hear your pulse. It's an incredible thing. At every moment we're dying and then the blood pumps again. That's essentially what's happening. What's a heart attack? Either irregularly or just chas v'shalom stopping, the heart stops beating. Guess what? Every single person's heart in this room just stopped beating. Oh, but it started again. Baruch Hashem. An amazing thing, the way the Rebbeinu Shalom sets up our body. If you really think about it, it's as if we're dying every second and then coming back to life. Okay, it's not like that because our body's set up to work with a pulse, with a give and flow, an ebb and flow of the bloodstream through the body. So it's all working seamlessly like that. There's no break in consciousness or breathing or anything like that, of course. But if you think about the way that this heart is a muscle pumping and the second it stops, it's dangerous. It's an amazing thing to consider. It's all coming from Ahavas Hashem. Hashem loves us. Hashem wants to take care of us. So he keeps us alive, keeps it going. Think about that thought. Almost from a place of just simple Hakaras HaTov. Thank you, Hashem. Almost like, thank you so much, Hashem, for everything you do for me. I'm looking forward to greeting you on Rosh Hashana. Because there's a special greeting that takes place on that day, more than on a regular day. Of course, we have it every day. And that thought, sometimes people think to themselves, okay, so I'll think that thought for like a minute, and what's that going to do for me? The message to that person is, if that's the way you approach it, nothing. You know why? Because you're not going to do it the second night. Because if you do it on the first night, you'll be like, that did nothing. And then the second night comes, and you don't do it. And therefore, it ended up doing nothing. But the way these things work are not magic. It's not overnight. It's you do it one night, and you do it a second night, and you do it a third night. And after 4 or 5 nights, or 13 and 14 nights, you start to feel like you're feeling a certain level of gratitude towards Hashem that you haven't had before. It's worthwhile to try. It takes such little time. No one knows you're doing it. It's all in your own mind, between you and Hashem. None of you should come over and tell me if you want to come over and discuss it with me, whatever, you can. That's not what I'm asking for. It's between you and God, between you and Hashem. Bottom line is that in our avoda between us and Hashem, in Adon L'Makom, just thinking about these things can have a tremendous impact on us. And it can help us not fall victim to that thought or to that status quo of everything's just happening, everything's just going, I need to do this and I need to do that, and this happens and that happens because of my actions. But no, the Rebbeinu Shalom is running the world. I still do my ishtadlus, but Hashem is running the world. That's the message of the mitzvah satluyas ba'aretz at the beginning of this parsha. That's the message of, even though Rov Kol, Teva's set up for us really nicely. We have all sorts of technology, all sorts of science in Teva to help us and allow us to accomplish more in less time. But it's all Hashem, and we can't forget that. Can't forget that. And that's the whole message of the Tochacha. And that Rebbe, when he screamed out, louder, I want to hear the Tochacha louder, because he lived through it. It was this, everything is the Torah, the bad times, and now the better times. And our message to Hashem, right now, us collectively, is, yes, Hashem, it's hard for us to always be focused on what's right and on you, but we try, we do our best. And please see that in our collective efforts in attempting to focus on you, Hashem, and establishing gratitude for you, Hashem, recognizing that you are the bedrock supporting everything in this world. And through that, it's a tremendous schus that we will not need any more tochacha whatsoever. That everything should have been mekuyim already. That then it should come back to that full simcha term, v'haya, that the parsha begins with. And Eretz Hashem, b'mheira v'yameinu, with Mashiach Tzidkenu, we will come once again, ki SAvo ala aretz, we'll come back to Eretz Yisrael, and it will be a tremendous source of simcha for us and for all of Klal Yisrael. Thank you all for coming.